A month ago, The Force Unleashed, the legendary Star Wars game from 2008, was ported onto the Nintendo Switch for $20. Let's talk about that. Now, I played through the game in a couple of days, and the most important thing you need to know is this is not a port of the Xbox or PlayStation version. This is a port of the Wii version. It was Nintendo, so the licensing was probably easier, and it already had motion control integrated. But there are some important things to keep in mind. The Wii was, objectively, a weaker system, so the game was changed for its release on that console back in 2008. The level designs were changed along with some of the cutscenes. So if you're expecting to relive the same exact experience you had when you first played this game, it probably won't happen unless, you played the Wii version. But you know what, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's like getting a new perspective on an old classic. And it gave me a strange type of nostalgia because it was great to play this game again, yet it was full of things I've never seen before. The only big bummer is that in this version of the game, arguably the most exciting set piece, bringing down the Star Destroyer, is reduced to a cutscene. Also, kind of disappointing that the original Vader mission was changed so much, but you gotta keep in mind those changes were necessary to put this game out on the Wii. Speaking of the Wii, what does the Wii and the Nintendo Switch have in common? Motion controls. And you know what, if they're your thing, that's great. But you know what, they seemed a little tacked on in 2008, and they feel tacked on here. Luckily, this game gives you the option to play it how it was intended, with strictly button controls, and I think this works pretty well. With minor adjustments to the controls, which you can completely customize, which I gotta say, I love the games that let you do that, because the Force Lightning and Force Grip really feel better switched around. I mean, it's much more natural, so if you're kind of struggling with the controls, I suggest changing those two around. Now, the graphics aren't anything to write home about, but that's to be expected. Remember, this is a port, bringing an old game to a new system, not a remaster where they actually make it look better. But for all intents and purposes, I think the game looks very natural on the Switch. It looks pretty good in handheld mode, and just how you would expect when you put it up on your TV. It just looks like The Force Unleashed, I don't know what to tell you. Now, the combat is as fun as ever. It's just nice hack and slash gameplay. The Force Lightning is extremely satisfying, and picking people up with the Force and just tossing them around is just as entertaining as it was when I was a kid. Jet Troopers and Mandalorians are going to be the bane of your existence, or at least they were for me. Maybe I'm just not good at this game, but jetpacks? That's not fair. Damn jetpacks.
I gotta get one of those.
Jokes and jetpacks aside, the difficulty is average. I'd say even a young kid could probably get through it with some patience. It throws a lot at you all at once, but it gives you enough tricks to handle it. I'll admit, I died on the Death Star an embarrassing amount of times, but the game helps you not get stuck by reviving you pretty close to where you were and not really respawning too many enemies. That's something I really liked, because if it was just like reset you to the last checkpoint, I probably would get stuck as a kid, so this is nice for newcomers. The final Vader fight is fun, while the Emperor fight is just frustrating and annoying, per usual for a Star Wars game, so nothing really out of place here. Now, the voice acting, I gotta say, is something that is exceptional in this game. It's even better than I remember. Sam Witwer voices Starkiller, and he is one of the best voice actors in his field, okay? And this is one of his first major debuts into the Star Wars universe. It's legendary.
You agreed to stay away! I lied.
Remember, this is the same guy who will later give you.
And yet, I can feel his presence. So close, so close. I can see him in my mind's eye. Kenobi. Kenobi!
Just chills. This guy's so talented, I love him. The length of the game is understandable. You get what you paid for. It's a $20 game, and you could probably beat it in a day if you really wanted to. But past the main story, there's a New Game Plus mode and a Versus mode where you can battle friends to keep you busy. I thought this was a pretty nice addition, you know, it lets you get some extra hours out of this game. Overall, I give The Force Unleashed on the Nintendo Switch a 4 out of 5. Yes, I'm changing my numbering system again. There are some downsides to this version of the game, yes, and I know it kind of sounded like I didn't like it for a minute, but it doesn't promise you anything that it doesn't deliver on. It's a solid port on one of the best modern consoles to date. There's not much to be mad about. So, whether you're someone who's never played The Force Unleashed before and wants to try out a Star Wars classic, or you're someone who has fond memories of playing this game years ago, I think it's an easy decision for any Star Wars fan to drop the $20 and buy this game. And with enough people supporting this game, who knows, maybe one day we'll get a port of The Force Unleashed too.
So.